So it brings it back around, Can we make these inappropriate jokes about people who are dead? Yes. But remember, when that energy comes back on you, remember that you threw that energy out there. You put the energy out there, and if you don't like it when it comes back on you, then you don't belong in the universe. The universe is bad and good. It is the yin and the yang. There can never be equality. There can never be utopia, because it goes against the laws of fucking nature and the balance of the entire universe. Every bad thing that happens is an opportunity, and every good thing that happens to you can also be viewed in a completely different way. This is the balance of the fucking universe. Understand it, respect it, and move on. I bet you didn't think he could get this deep from a man who was making jokes about Jeremy Beadle's weird nightmare hand.
Knowledge and ignorance.
Welcome. Knowledge and Ignorance, episode 30. Looks like we made it. How far we come, my baby. Do you remember that? That used to be our song, like me and my ex-girlfriend. Our song. I didn't choose it, she chose that, so what are you supposed to do about it? Chicks, am I right? Now, let's talk about jokes. Inappropriate jokes. Badly timed jokes, some might say. Or well-timed jokes, shall we say. Offensive jokes. Jokes about the dead. Now, unless you've been living under a pile of shit, you probably would have realized that there's been 3 significant celebrity deaths, if you like. Well-known personalities. 3, you say? Yeah, all this stuff comes in 3s. I expect there's been more because, there's other regions of the world where there's people that are famous who have died that we just don't care about, Who's the 3rd person? Well, Prince Philip. Obviously, Nicky Graham and DMX are dead. I jest. See, I've just done a joke already. Nicky Graham died too. If you don't know who Nicky Graham is, she was someone who got famous on Big Brother, who apparently was battling with an eating disorder. Sadly took her life at the age of 38, I believe. Obviously, this is overshadowed by 2 very high-profile deaths on both sides of the Atlantic, being Prince Philip and DMX. Now, quite the contrast in people there. But what I'll get down to is I did notice, and as expected, a lot of jokes about Prince Philip. Now, this is fine, of course. I'm not going to be going to be jumping on my high horse just yet. But trust me, the horse is waiting, and I'm getting on it. Being British, one of the quintessential things about being British is you find out about people's deaths usually through jokes. I've got a couple of friends in particular who have alerted me to the fact, broke the news, not alerted me. It's not, I don't need to be alerted about celebrity deaths. It's not like there's anything that's I'm going to do about it. But, they've brought to my attention that these people have died. Michael Jackson, Amy Winehouse, those are 2 that particularly stand out. Text messages at those times, I can't really remember the jokes, but straight away I'm like, oh, yo, Michael Jackson's dead. Just some tasteless joke. Am I cool with people making jokes about deaths? It's never something I've really done myself. I do find it, this is when you're going to go, don't be a dick. It's just not my thing. It's just not my thing. I don't, I find it, I just don't feel comfortable with it. But when people do tell the joke, I'm like, I will, laugh sometimes, but I'll be like, I don't know. I'm just not comfortable with it. Why aren't I comfortable with it? I don't know. It just doesn't sit right with me. And if something doesn't sit right with you, then that's okay. I'm not going to go around punching people in the face because they told a joke about someone who's dead. especially when it's someone who's dead who I've never met and who I don't know. That's the thing about celebrity deaths. It causes havoc with some people. They're like, "Oh my God, my life is over." It's like, yo, DMX is a tragedy, and I love DMX. I think It's Dark and Hell is Hot is one of the best hip hop albums. It's consistent. It's so consistent. A troubled man who struggled against crack addiction. There's certain things I can relate to DMX and how, one of his songs was my crack come down tune. So there's many relatable things going on there. But to feel sadness about DMX dying, not really. It's just something that hasn't happened because, he fought hard against crack addiction and it was just a matter of time. He's like George Best, Whitney Houston, Paul Gascoigne, who's still alive, but come on, these are the sort of people who're just like, God, how are you still alive? Like, surely it's coming. It's not really going to affect my life. It's not really going to affect your life, even if you're the biggest fan, because the music is always there. And especially when you reach a certain age, especially as a rapper, like all your best stuff is behind you. Do you know what I mean? All the classics are already done. When people like XXX Tentacion died, Juice WRLD, Lil Peep, they were so young. There was some great shit to come, and we'll never get to experience. Kurt Cobain. There was some. The body of work that all these people are putting is pretty great, but there was some greater stuff to come for sure. But that's kind of it on how much it affects your life. So getting bent out of shape about a joke is a bit, it's like, well, why are you choosing to live this way, getting bent out of shape from a joke? But at the same time, I guess people are in the public space, so therefore they are fair game, even in death. But that depends on how horrible a person they've been, I suppose. Like General Pinochet, who gives a fuck about making a General Pinochet joke? The guy's he's a mass murderer. Milosevic, when Milosevic dies, is he dead yet? I don't know. Have I missed the boat on Milosevic's death? Well, who cares about that cunt if he dies? He committed genocide on millions. What? Let the jokes run, I'm going to have, if he is still alive, God, I'm well up to date on news. I need to have a fair few jokes in the canon. There's a play on his name, which is great, Slobodan Milošević, which is fantastic. So maybe just say that. There. Just say that. Make it a hashtag. Be cool. But, when I talked about the impact of celebrities in my very first podcast, in fact, I said, they don't really make a difference on our lives that much. Alive or dead, will the world change that much? No. For the most part, no. Even the most sanctimonious and virtue-signaling one, even Bono, who got invited to sit down for the Northern Ireland peace talks, dead or alive, I don't think it make any difference. His presence at the peace talks, I don't think was a big factor in how the pendulum swung in those discussions. I think it probably would have lasted a shorter time if he hadn't been there and got done, Celebrity nonsense. But making jokes about dead people, but what I noticed and what it brought to my attention is that people cannot take it. People can't take jokes, but they can dish it out. Thus is the internet, I suppose, but thus is human nature. And what I mean by this is, I actually went on a tirade on Twitter, finding people that made jokes about Prince Philip. Mainly because they think they've got license to say it, because they've got some sort of notion that because this 99-year-old man said a few wacky things, that it gives them license to, make loads of jokes. And trust me, there was a lot of jokes made about by Diana when she died and since her death, which is, that is what it is. But I went after these people not because I care too much about whether Prince Philip is alive or dead. It's a tragedy for anyone to die. I don't think he deserved the the abuse that was coming his way because they just assume he's the one who's talking racist shit about a gold digging whore. So I don't, I just think it lacks class, to be honest with you. It just lacks class. But that's not why I went after these people. I went after these people and said horrendous things about their own parents, because when it comes to someone dying that they love, that I might not love, or someone they like, when it comes to saying things about them, or making jokes about them as people, or making jokes about their own family, I guarantee that most of them will not be happy about it. They won't be able to take it. And this is the problem. It is, for everybody, one rule for you and another rule for everyone else. Like, I can make jokes when I want, I can say what the fuck I want, I can offend who I want when I think it's fine to do so. But when it's not cool, then apparently everyone must toe the line over my feelings. And this is the bullshit of the world. And I've noticed a lot in my life that people can often dish it out, but they can't take it back. That happens a lot. There's a lot of people out there who like to make jokes, take the piss and all this stuff. And a lot of the time when I haven't really gone back at people, because I'm brutal. I came to a place in my life where I just have no chill when it comes to that kind of thing. And maybe it's probably following 50 Cent on, as someone to look up to. Zero chill. I have no chill when it comes to that stuff, because it's like, all right, it's on then. I just figure it's on. Because people can make jokes, but they cannot take it back. And this became my thing. I used to often hear dyslexic jokes. I'm majorly dyslexic. And I've never really cared. I would never tell anyone not to say a dyslexic joke around me. I don't care. Because they never really offended me. They're just always lame. And that's the problem with most jokes against groups. Racist jokes, xenophobic jokes, homophobic jokes, and so forth. Well, the homophobic jokes can usually be... there's just something still funny about them. I don't know why. Anybody, that's going to cause outrage, isn't it? Well, you're not a deep thinker, so what do I care? So there are certain these stereotype jokes, and when you are on the receiving end of it, it's when it becomes yawnsome. It's like, that's not even how, it's always the most basic bullshit. Like, the dyslexic walked into a bar and fucking misspelt the pint, misspelled something. It's always something, I can't even think of one off the top of my head because they're just forgettable. It's because they don't really understand dyslexia. It's the same with like black jokes or anything like that. I can remember being in a bakery in a small country city, and a guy made a comment about Indians. He said, well, they all eat bananas, don't they? And I was thinking, I'm pretty sure that was an offensive thing to say about black people, not Indians. So he hadn't even got it right. And the point of that, what I'm trying to make, is that they'll say things about people, and you'll be a part of that group and go, what? Really? It's like, what? That's it. I could sort of, I don't know, but I'm just throwing this out there. I could sort of see black people, when they do all the monkey chanting across Europe at football matches, and just being there like going, really? What? The monkey chanting? That's the best you can do. It sort of gets to a stage where it's like, is that it? Is that as deep and great as you can get? Do you know what I mean? Because I'll give you another example. So, you can make jokes about the Vietnamese. What jokes could you make about the Vietnamese? Most people would come up with like the couple of things that they know about Vietnam, probably about the Vietnam War. I know that'd be the only way they could sort of construct a joke, just based on the most surface level understanding of something. Whereas actually you can make a lot of great jokes about the Vietnamese if you know the culture more, because every culture is ripe for the piss taking. Just accept it. That's the way it is. The French and their stinky food, That's just a stereotype one, isn't it? The British love to queue. No, they don't. The Americans do. I mean, what's a typical British thing? Fighting and drinking in Spain. So you can make a joke about that. So you can make a joke about the Vietnamese. What you don't realise about the Vietnamese is that they're terrible drivers, facts, and they sing god-awful karaoke, and their music is just terrible. Like, if you really knew the culture, like, then you'd be like, ha 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 ha. But instead you come up with some basic joke about their hats or their eyes. Do you understand where I'm going with this? That's the level of people. So going back to when, people tell dyslexic jokes, I'd never get bent out of shape of it because I know they could tell jokes. But I knew and I learned that if you told a joke back about something about them, they'd start fighting you, spitting on you, crying, complaining, grassing you up to the teachers as being a bully. All these kinds of things. They really think they can dish it out, and when it comes back at them, they cannot take it. So with that in mind, this is why With that in mind, this is why the double standard exists. It's kind of like the hitman in a movie who's like killed 100 people, and then the time comes when he's going to get popped, and he's there going, oh no, please, I have children, please man, I'll suck your dick, don't kill me. It's like, bruv, this energy is going to come back on you. Just want to take a quick moment to say that you should be going to my beautiful website. That's right, everything's on my beautiful website. Blogs, podcasts, videos, exclusive stuff. It's the future. The relationship between the consumer and the creator should be just between us. Okay, we don't need all these middlemen and things. They're getting in the way. Silicon Valley are like the nasty, nasty corporation OCP in RoboCop. Do you remember that? Terrible. They're terrible human beings. Fuck them. You need to come over to the website. Come over there, have a peruse around. Click on the notifications there. Don't click the bell on this. Click the notification on the website. Push notifications. Sign up to the email list. And you'll get access to some real cool stuff. And every time I drop something, you don't need to click no little YouTube bell. I'll notify you direct. Or the push notification will go bing. That's where you need to be. The future is there, not here. And if you're already on the website and you've already done all those things, I apologise for wasting your time. And thank you. So the double standard that we are consistently presented with is not really a double standard, as I've mentioned before. It's one rule for us and another rule for everyone else, which is kind of like a little bratty child approach to life. And I think we're dealing with a whole whole society of bratty children. That's the correct way to put that. It's just bratty children who think that they can do something and say something and act a certain way, and as soon as someone else does it and it affects them, then suddenly they're throwing their toys out of the pram. A lot of it might be to do with tribalism, as a lot of people comment on, but I don't think it is, because what's okay for the tribe is not okay for the other tribe. This is why you constantly get hypocrisy and contradiction and so forth. But really, this is just how people be acting, People can come around your house and they'll spit on the floor and they'll be like, why are you spitting on my floor? Like, do you want to do that again? Slap them when they do it the second time. Then you go around their house and spit on their floor, and they set fire to you and your family. This is people. When it comes to making jokes, I've had bereavement in recent times, and I think anyone that would make jokes about my dearly departed, they probably wouldn't make it to your face. I don't know how I'd feel if I was in the public sphere and it was jokes all over the internet. But then you've got to remember that people can just be shitty and cruel and insensitive and don't care. This is why you need to have a thicker skin, really. This is why you just need to accept jokes are jokes. Some people like to be edgy. People probably say, oh, you're always making edgy jokes and shit. It's like, nah. There's nothing controversial or edgy about any of the jokes that I make. Not one. None of them are made for me to be some sort of edgelord, socking it to the man, going, fuck you, mum, look what I just said. Shock value? Sure. Of course. But the absurdity of life must be pointed out. You must look at it and go, that's ridiculous. Do you want to know how ridiculous it is? I'll ramp it up a bit so you can understand how ridiculous it is. How ridiculous this is. This is the whole point. There's been cancel culture, people being offended, snowflakery, whatever you like to call this business. It's an attack on comedy itself. It is an attack on comedy itself. The biggest losers out here are people making jokes. So much so that Facebook feels they have to, have a special tab that they're trialing in America that says this is satire. Because, well, it might also be the reason that now life is imitating art, and life is just satire right now. I mean, it's so ridiculous, it's untrue, but people just can't take a fucking joke. And the state of comedy and safety comedy, that safe comedy, the sort of comedy that belongs on Saturday night television at 7 o'clock. Ant and Dec. In fact, no, Ant and Dec are probably edgy comedians. They're not even comedians, but that's probably edgy comedy compared to how safe it has got with all these comedians that get employed. And employed by the BBC and so forth, you know what I'm saying. In fact, it's gone to a certain extent. If you ever have the misfortune of watching any sort of Facebook or relatable comedy that's produced by the BBC, they do, Instagram style comedy videos. I'm sure it's on their Instagram as well, but who's looking for that, It'll be this relatable comedy that's just so basic, so base, it's just anyone could have thought of that joke and made that kind of comparison. We're not talking about Michael McIntyre level of, I've never been a fan, but we're not talking that level of relatable comedy. That was very big for a long time. Peter Kay as well. Oh, do you know stuff? I know about stuff that you know. Isn't it funny? That kind of comedy. But the thing is, they're very good at doing it. But anyone could make those kind of comparisons. Anyone can say, oh, I've got a man draw. Anyone can make those jokes. Emergency chairs, get the emergency chairs. Anyone could come up with those kind of jokes, but it's kind of the delivery of it. But now, to be a comedian and employed by these outlets, get a little video commissioned by BBC Social or whatever the hell is fucking going on the internet. It could be anybody. So anyone can be a comedian. Do you know why? Because there's no edges. It's all smooth beige pebbles now. There is no edge to anything whatsoever, which is a tragedy, and it's going to kill people. Do you know why it's going to kill people? Let's get down to the basics of humour and what it actually means. Now, everyone has their interpretation of what comedy is. Comedy is punching up, not punching down. Comedy is a reflection of society, and comedy is exposing the ludicrous elements of what we are as human beings and the system, and blah 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 blah. No, comedy will save your fucking life. Comedy is a safe space. That's what comedy is. Do you know why? Because for the basis of comedy, if you understand it, is looking at something and laughing at something that you shouldn't be laughing at, like a child. Jeremy Beadle's hand. Remember Jeremy Beadle's weird fucking hand? His weird ass hand. Jeremy Beadle's weird ass hand. Let's see them fingers. His weird nightmare hand. You shouldn't be looking at Jeremy Beadle's weird nightmare hand and going, oh, nightmare hand. You shouldn't have been doing that. He's got a deformed hand. But in your brain, you're going, nightmare hand. Oh my God, look at his hand. Jesus Christ. But, for us to function as a society, there's certain things that we shouldn't be sort of pointing at and going, what the fuck? Or laughing at, when someone clearly has some sort of, Have you ever seen someone who's clearly, not quite all there in the head and sort of walks funny and they sort of swagger into place going, and you're like, God, can I just laugh at that and make them feel like shit? Can I do that? No, you can't. Because we're supposed to be civil to each other, although that's gone out the fucking window, obviously. But we'll get to that. But so what you can do is you can go into your comedy safe space. It could be a comedy club. You could be watching a YouTube video. It could be a comedy special, a sketch show, whatever it is. And you know what you're going to get. And you can sit there and laugh at something that you sometimes shouldn't be laughing at. The most offensive shit possible. Really inappropriate crap. But because you need that release, because you're all uptight, scrunched up, because you can't, you see someone who's got a really big deformed head and you just can't laugh at them or point at them because you can't. But you can go to a comedy night, and that's fine. You can hear a ridiculous story about something really horrendous happening. Say it was a case of abuse, but there could be some element of the story that is just ridiculous. I can't think of an example right now. Say there was a man that dressed up as a bouncy castle and fiddled with children as he's dressed up as a bouncy castle. It's horrendous. It's a child abuse. That's disgusting. But he's dressed up as a bouncy fucking castle. That's hilarious. Now, you can't be going around at your dinner party. You can't be at work by your water cooler with all the other Joe and Jen averages and going, hey, but he was dressed up as a bouncy castle, right? Because Jane from HR is going to be like, step into my office. But you can, in the realms of a comedy safe space. That's what a true comedy safe space is. It allows you to just let it fucking flow. Just let it all out. Boom! And you get the sweet relief of, scratching an itch that just would not go away. That's what it is. It's a safe space. And when you're all wound up tight and you're walking around on eggshells and there's no space for you to go and laugh amongst people and just cry laughing like, oh my God, I can't believe they said that. What the fuck? And you're just going to be angry. You're going to get stressed out. You're going to have anxiety. You're going to die. It's bad for your health, okay? As an uptight society, I wonder how many people have died from COVID-19 because they were all uptight and they just couldn't just let it out once in a while, Just let it out. Like busting a nut. It's easier, it's easier to be single and starved of sex for have a dry spell because you can still crank one out, can't you? You can still tap yourself off, ladies. But making yourself laugh, is that easy to make yourself laugh? Can you get that sense of relief from telling jokes to yourself as you can, grabbing your penis and tugging it? No, you can't. And I'm funny as hell, and I try and do a comedy routine to myself in the mirror. Not even a smile. So it brings it back around, Can we make these inappropriate jokes about people who are dead? Yes, of course you can. But remember, when that energy it's not energy now, it's energy. We've changed the words. They're changing everything else. When that energy comes back on you, remember that you threw that energy out there. Okay? You put the energy out there, and if you don't like it when it comes back on you, then you don't belong in the universe. This is what I'm saying. The universe is bad and good. It is the yin and the yang. There can never be equality. There can never be utopia because it goes against the laws of fucking nature and the balance of the entire universe. Every bad thing that happens is an opportunity, and every good thing that happens to you can also be viewed in a completely different way. This is the balance of the fucking universe. Understand it, respect it, and move on. I bet you didn't think it could get this deep from a man who was making jokes about Jeremy Beadle's weird nightmare hand. Well, it is. This is where we're at. Okay? I'm on levels that you can't even imagine. And if you're on those levels, then please donate me some money. My girlfriend's birthday's coming up. I want to buy her something, nicer than a thimble with my face on it. My final point on all this goes to putting that energy out and it not coming back on you. It's to do with the Bible. That's right. I live my life by the Bible. Do I? Absolutely fuck. I think if you dedicate your whole life to just one book, well, you haven't got a very big bookshelf. You need bigger bookshelves. This is something I used to say, and I should bring it back. You need more books on your shelf, don't you? But there is a point about the Bible, and there is a point about people moving away from religion and why it comes to why people get bent out of shape about making jokes. You see, in the Bible it says, do unto others as you would have done unto yourself, or whatever. It's like that. Which means, treat people how you want to be treated. Not a lot of people do that. Not really. I try my best, so I always make jokes about people's eyebrows. I don't really do self-deprecating humour. I'm a fucking god, so I just think it's ridiculous. You see, there are some very famous atheists out there, dead and alive, Give you examples of, say, people like Ricky Gervais and Christopher Hitchens and Stephen Fry. These people are, very not Stephen Hawking. No, not Stephen Hawking. He wasn't going to heaven anyway. He did too many bad things in his previous life, according to Glenn Hoddle. Richard Dawkins. And they say, Sam Harris is another one. These people say, you don't need to have religion in your life to be a good person. You don't need that. You can navigate your life and be a good person. You can have morals and values without having a religious text as a guideline. But the thing is, I think they're missing a deep point, and that's not understanding Joe and Jane Average. That, for me, I don't need that shit. I really have never been a follower. Probably means I should be a leader, but who can be bothered? So I'm just a lone wolf amongst sheep, or a lone wolf amongst other wolves, depending on how you look at it. But these people maybe just never realised that they don't need it, but a lot of other people do. And that is quite clear. As they've turned away from religion, they've turned to just other kinds of ideologies. They need to belong to something. Even being fat is now giving people a sense of belonging and an identity and a belief system. How ridiculous is that? I don't care. I don't care what you say about fat. You're fat. It's bad for you, okay? Some fat people, and this is someone who likes to fuck fat people saying this. I don't want ladies to be skinny, but it's probably better for them. I mean, not super skinny. We're not talking size 0. You need some meat on that ass. But, you don't want to be a big Lizzo whale, do you? I mean, it's not good for you, okay? All right? And am I saying that for a few cheap laughs? Yes. But is it true? Yes. So therefore it's fine, because there's truth there. If you don't like truth, then I don't know what to do for you, do I? What do you want from me? If you didn't, people have allergies to the truth. Well, the point is this is people do need guidance from religion. They really do. A lot of people do. And that's something I've come to realize. That's why I don't like the smug atheism, because it's like, this works for a lot of people. It really does. And unfortunately, it gets taken over by shysters and hucksters, your Al Sharptons to your crazy southern preachers and your West African preachers with their private jets. I mean, this stuff gets hijacked by nutters. What are you going to do about it? I don't know. It's not my field. But people do need those values, and that value of do unto others as you expect to be done unto yourself is something that's really missing from these people. And I think they need religion. I don't. They do. Okay? I'm just saying what's best for you. I've just been looking around and going, you need Jesus or something. That's right. You can make jokes. When is it too soon to make jokes? I don't know. When's the appropriate time? You know, it's not like the age of consent or the age of drinking. You know, when you're counting down to midnight. Oh, soon she'll be 16. You know, Jimmy Savile did that quite a lot, from what I heard. You know, there's no countdown. There's no particular date when it's all right to make a Grenfell joke. Just make a Grenfell joke. You know, people were fine with making World Trade Center jokes, and thousands of people died there. Did they? It's like they think they all deserve to die or something. I don't know. Whereas everyone who lived at Grenfell was pure and innocent, didn't deserve to die. Like, come on. It's a big burning building. There's jokes. You make your Grenfell joke. When's it too soon? When's it stop being too soon? Probably 2166. That's a joke in itself. Make a joke. Fuck about a joke. It's fine. I mean, there's plenty of jokes you can make about DMX and Prince Philip. But I just wouldn't choose to do it. It's like racist jokes. I never found them funny, you know. It's just, you know. There's just certain jokes I'm just like, nah. You know, I like offensive things. But sometimes when it's just for the sake of it, you're just like, why did you even bother doing that? Or gross stuff. I remember someone called me up once. Said they were drunk as fuck and they told me jokes like, well, what'd you do with a baby in a blender? I was like, I don't know. He said, wank on it. It's like, just... It was so ridiculous that, you know, if you'd been higher shit, you would have gone, wow, you can't say that. That's crazy. But it was like, bro, that's just shit. That's just a shit joke. But it's obviously going to upset someone. You know, I mean, that's the biggest crime. Is it shit? Can you make jokes about the dead? Yes. Shall we make some jokes about the dead now? No, I'm not doing it. I ain't into it. It's not my thing. I'm sorry. You know, I'm sorry. I just always found it tasteless. I found it tasteless that they got, what was it, Ding Dong the Witch is Dead to #1 when Margaret Thatcher died. I just found it like puerile and kind of pathetic. You know, this woman was not Slobodan Milosevic. I don't think you should celebrate death unless you're celebrating the good aspects of death, passing on to the other side, the release of years of endless pain, the transitioning, celebrating someone's life, but celebrating because someone's no longer with us no more. I don't know about that. It's the celebratory nature of it. I ain't cool with it. I never have been. I've maintained that energy since I was a child. Fucking sue me. But, you know, if you want to make necrophilia jokes, I'm okay. I don't mind. You can make jokes about anyone that's dead, but it's the way you're going about it. God. Question is, where do we go from here? Oh, where do we go from here? I mean, the best joke you could make, I suppose, about Prince Philip dying. I mean, actually, he did catch COVID. But didn't they change it to 30 days or 28 days after he caught it, that it counts as a COVID death? He's going to be down as a COVID death, isn't he? Yeah, pretty much. Not the fact that he was 99 years old. DMX, it's going to be a COVID death, I expect. Nicky Graham, it'll probably be a COVID death, I expect, just because of the way it's going. I mean, you can end on the note, you know, can you make a joke about George Floyd? Yes, you can. But apparently that shit can get you arrested, as has happened to an unfortunate police officer sharing a meme in a WhatsApp group. And if you've ever been in any sort of WhatsApp group with work colleagues or anything, the most horrendous things get passed around WhatsApp. Some things I'm not even sure are legal sometimes. I've never been in one, but people are always showing them to me, going, look at this gross, disgusting thing that happened to this woman, with and this cactus. You're like, that is fucking horrible. Why have you got that on your phone? You should be arrested for that. No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't. The person that made the video, maybe. But anyway, we're going to the murky territory. The point is, you shouldn't be arrested for making jokes, making a funny meme about George Floyd. Fucking, the guy was high as shit. I mean, what did he do? I mean, this is weird. Like, he's dead. Is your whole day going to be ruined because some guy you don't know died? No, it shouldn't be. It's crazy. You go, no, but no, man, I don't even know the guy. I don't know Prince Philip. I never knew DMX. I don't know Nicky Graham. I don't know George Floyd. I am not going to cry constantly over people dying that I've never met. All right? There's some people who died that I have known, and I haven't even fucking cried. Because I'm a heartless piece of shit. No, I'm just joking. I'm not going to cry over it. I still got DMX's music. I'd never had much interest in going to see him live, to be honest with you. So there's that. Prince Philip. I never knew the guy. He's old. I mean, how is he still alive? We don't know. Adrenochrome. I don't know. It's just not affecting my life. What do you want me to do about it? Make some jokes. Anyway, if you came this far, listen to the message earlier. Please do all the things I asked you to do. And if you didn't, and you don't want to, if you don't want to share this, if you don't want to let anyone know that you're spending time looking at my beautiful face, then fuck you.